So as you know, and if you are in the industry, you know, but events have started to come back, and
Hmm.
this past week, skew camp, excuse me,
Hmm.
happened, and it's the
Yep.
first time. I know you've been to skew camp several times. It's an event put on by Common Skew that really it's I think for leaders in the industry that try to help them not only plan for the end of the year, but start planning to build their business intentionally for the next year. It's an event that I've
Hmm.
enjoyed a ton of times, and this
Sure.
year I had to miss it because of the wedding, as you mentioned. It was just one of those where I'd signed up, I was going to go, and then Mark
Yeah.
and Catherine were gracious enough to let me out of it, because I was like, I just can't be in two
Yeah.
places at once. But I will tell you, I don't often have, like, people talk about industry FOMO. I don't
Yeah.
often get it, because I'm like, I've either made the decision to go or not go, and I'm comfortable with it. This was one I really struggled with,
Hmm.
but it got me thinking, because I know things get you thinking all the time. I clearly don't think very much,
Oh,
but
don't sell yourself short.
but a I guess the first question is, did you have FOMO for Skew Camp, or were you kind of like, dude, I didn't have the bandwidth, or and then B, I guess the second part of the question is, it feels like those events are starting to stack up. We talked about
Hmm.
the brand together last week. We've got Promotions East coming up. We've got
Yep.
Expo has now been announced that it's open.
Hmm.
Will
And
you
don't forget
start?
about promocations and promo crews.
That's right, of course, promocations. Like, I thought that went without saying.
It
But
didn't.
we will you be looking to travel more soon? I mean, now again, we've had this weird little gap for, like,
Yeah.
a couple years. Are you looking to
Yeah.
travel more soon, or do you think, you know what? No, I'm going to be doing more virtual, or is the answer both?
So here's the deal. One, I didn't have a lot of FOMO. I did and I didn't. There are parts of it I did have FOMO on for not going to ski camp. But first of all, you with Dave Schultz and a few other people did a great job on the hype video for No Sleep in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Very funny stuff there, really great stuff. I always miss any skew event I miss. I've been to almost every skew camp and almost every skew con. So I feel I've been part of that.
Yeah.
But again, the falls get very busy with me, the autumns, because two kids, different schools, a lot of travel. And like you said, things are ramping up. And so it gets to a point you have to start picking and choosing. So to answer your question, do I plan on traveling more? Yeah, I do. I mean, if you're talking about compared to 2020, yes, I plan on traveling more. But I think, people are going to start being very choosy about the events they go to. I mean, there's only so much time
Yeah.
and so much money to go around. And so I think, all events have to continually, I don't want to say reinvent themselves. That sounds like it needs to be wholesale changes, but I think it needs to evolve. And I think you
Mm,
need to look at who your audience is, what they're trying to accomplish,
right.
not necessarily what historically you've been trying to accomplish, and make sure that it really fits in to that demographic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to travel more. You and I will be at Promotions East.
Yeah.
It's honestly terrible timing for me. I mean, just I'm happy to go. I'm honored to go. I'm speaking, you're speaking, or we're going to record this Ding Dong podcast live there. But I do a boondoggle weekend with my college friends every year, and they're coming to Nashville this year. They're staying at my house, for crying out loud. Um, so when they go to the airport on Monday after that weekend, I'm going to the airport with them, not to take them. I'm dropping off my car and I'm getting on a plane to go to Atlantic City.
Right.
And then I come home on Wednesday. On Friday, I'm leaving to go to Tuscaloosa for the weekend. So, it's wedging things in. And so there's
Sure.
so many different things when you try to balance personal and professional. You're going to have to be choosy to make sure what you're going to is going to further your business goals. I think Skew Camp's a great example of that. I think there are other Promotions East is a great example of that. I certainly think the really smart guys over at Promocations are rocking it
Yeah.
with promo crews and some promo queue and all that stuff. So I think you just have to pick and choose. So yes, I'll travel more, but I think people are going to be more picky.
Yeah, I think they'll be more picky, because it was funny when 2020 happened, there were things that we did, just whether it be in business or in, like in our community, for example. We did things where it was like, oh, like the seniors that year did like a little parade through town where they like literally started
Right.
at the school and drove around. And as they were driving by our business and, because we were socially distanced and whatever, but
Yeah.
beeping and whatever, I remember looking at my wife and like, I don't care about the pandemic. We should do this every year. This is cool. And I
Mhm.
think that we certainly saw some things like that through the pandemic. And I think some of the
Yeah.
virtual stuff is like that. And when I'm not necessarily virtual
Yeah.
events, bear with me on this,
Yep.
but like there was business travel that was done where you were like, oh, I'm traveling to Dallas to meet with a client. Now, sometimes you'll still do that, but I have to think there's going to be times where you're like, you know what? No, we're going to do this over Zoom and it will be fine.
Correct.
And so
Correct.
that's sort of the balance I see
Yeah.
is like there's going to be I'll be able to do more because I can do some things virtually.
I think most virtual events will die. I do.
Yeah.
Not client meetings, not things like what Soapbox is doing. I see that having a lot
Yeah.
of legs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the bigger events, like unless the only time I think a virtual event works is if it's simulcast at a
Yeah.
reduced
Hybrid.
rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hybrid.
Hybrid events, fine.
Yeah. Love that.
I think client calls, again, sometimes, sometimes you ask yourself, can this meeting be handled in an email? Might be.
Yeah.
Sometimes, can this meeting be handled virtually, or do I really need to go build some relationships? Because one of the things that's really challenging with virtual meetings and virtual, whether client meetings or whatever, very difficult to establish rapport and relationships, because I know how I treat those meetings. I'm not as attentive. Not when I'm not at the client, of course I'm attentive, but I'm talking about speaker meetings, right? I email comes in, yeah, I'm gonna deal with that because I don't want to deal with it later. If I'm in the event though, I'm in the event.
Right. No. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I don't know about you, but I started looking at the my travel for the fall
Yeah,
and I was like, oh man, I've actually
me
got
too.
more of it. And but I will say I don't have quite the, I don't have my friends coming over right before. And so
Yeah.
I have looked at it with a renewed sense of excitement that I probably didn't have in 2019. Like I'm looking at it now going, hey, all right, Atlantic City. Haven't been there in a while. Let's do this.
Yeah, right now, just because again, the phase of life I'm in, I see a lot of fun gonna happen. I mean, I always have fun with all these travel things, but it's a little bit of a death march. It's like, oh, it's a grind. But
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to getting past it.